On the 1st of October 2011, the Australian Paranormal Phenomenon Investigators, otherwise known as API, were invited to do an investigation at the Casula Powerhouse Art Centre. Here's a little bit about the Art Centre. The Casula Powerhouse Art Centre. The original Casula Powerhouse is a striking and successful example of adaptive reuse of a former industrial facility. The building was originally a power station that was built in 1950 during the post-World War II electricity shortage as an interim measure while the statewide electricity grid was being established. The power station would later become a contemporary multi-arts facility. The powerhouse was closed in 1976 and bought by Liverpool Council in 1978 for only $75,000. The building became derelict over the following decade, and in 1985 the residents of Liverpool decided by plebiscite that the building should become an art centre. By 1987, Council had appointed 2 staff members to oversee the first capital works program. Electricity was installed, buildings reviews carried out, and an office space was refurbished. In 1993, when Mark Latham was Mayor of Liverpool, Casula Powerhouse, as it had then become known, was allocated funding in the council budgets for the very first time. An ambitious development took place and the centre opened its doors in 1994. During the period between opening and June 2006, the Casula Powerhouse ran a busy program of exhibitions and events. Highlights include Shanghai Star, I Love Pho, Vietnam Voices, and Cybercultures. After a 22-month closure, the Casula Powerhouse reopened on the 5th of April 2008 with significantly improved and new facilities. The centre now houses an international standard exhibition space and a 326-seat state-of-the-art theatre. The centre also boasts a multi-purpose theatre performance space, artist studios and artist-in-residency spaces, 7 exhibition spaces. In addition, climate control has been installed in one gallery and a collection storage space and a new office space. This capital project has been a partnership between the New South Wales Government, Arts New South Wales, Liverpool Council and its communities. The possibility of paranormal activity. The report of paranormal activity at the Art Centre is varied and voluminous. Not only the actual building, but the station and the surrounding bushland have a mystique about them which we looked into. There's only ever been one reported death, by crushing no less, and the staircase is still there, all bent out of shape. At one point, the activity was so strong, the management called in some Aboriginal elders to perform a cleansing. Reports consist of: an artist who lived with his family in the artist's residence was very sensitive to paranormal activity. He reported that on several occasions when painting in the workshop alone, he would hear somebody speaking to him, footsteps all around him, and he would receive physical contact, touches and pushes. On one occasion, the artist's son bought him a cup of coffee and was too scared by the feeling he was being watched to return to the residence. On a blog, a security guard has mentioned the feeling of the building being haunted. Quote, I used to lock and alarm the place back when I did mobile security patrols. Nothing worse than being there by yourself after midnight, about to set the alarm when you can clearly hear footsteps upstairs. However, alarm sensor panel says place is empty. Go back to base and tell the story and the other guys reckon I got off easy. They all tell stories of hearing screaming from upstairs and even seeing moving objects. The place gives you the creeps just driving down to it. Appy have ascertained where the security guard was talking about, and we planned a vigil at that location. The door between the artist's residence and the centre was often found to be unlocked and open, even though it was known to be locked. The business manager of the centre, who Appy had been dealing with, advised that he took a photo of a hallway one day, only to discover that there was a very distinct black outline of a person in the photo. At the time, he was alone in the building. Due to the fact that Casula Station, opened in 1894 and opposite the power station, is not operated by train guards, it was a regular spot for backpackers to get off the train, not having to pay the train fare, and head to the Hume Highway to hitchhike. The menacing experience for 7 of these hitchhikers started here at this train station in Casula. They would exit a train here and attempt to hitch a ride south towards Melbourne, when a charming Australian bloke named Bill offered them a ride. They willingly accepted. Ivan Milat. In August 2008, police appealed to the general public for information on the decomposed remains of a body found in Bellbird walking track next to Casula train station. Officers believed the remains were those of a white European male who was aged between 20 and 30 when he died. He was between 170 and 175 centimetres tall and had a small build. They believed that the dead man may have been a heavy cannabis user. His body remained undiscovered for approximately 12 years. We think we may have spoken to him. A previous exhibit involving large stones remains on the property. When rearranging the exhibition, the business manager was thinking purely aesthetically. The result is a fairy circle of stones on the main grounds, particularly where the main indigenous connections are. Myth states that fairy circles are opening to other worlds. Staff have reported unusual activity in the theatre of the museum, which is a relatively new addition. On the day when the theatre was closed to the public, one of the theatre tech guys was alone in the theatre. He clearly heard a little girl giggling and running around on the stage and through the theatre. He investigated and there was definitely nobody else in the theatre. Another theatre tech advises that during an evening performance, when all the lights were out in the theatre and there was only one spotlight aimed at a single performer on stage, he glanced up for a split second and saw a second man standing next to the performer. One well-known artist in residence was so scared of the paranormal activity around the venue that he left in a hurry at 2 a.m. half-dressed and has, to this day, refused to re-enter the building. As you can imagine, there are many other stories which are only whispered of in corridors and have not reached our ears. We've heard many stories of things happening without details. We've heard of objects moving on their own, doors opening and closing, and many, many stories of footsteps. We hope you enjoy this little introduction to the Casula Powerhouse Art Centre, and we hope that one day you can visit there as well. Nick and I would like to sincerely thank the business manager and the staff of the Casula Art Centre for their cooperation, stories and enthusiasm towards this investigation.